This is Due By Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Merlin Mann, Alex Cox, and usually Max Temkin, but he's not here today. This week's challenge, look at your office.
Did you hear me typing just now?
Yes.
Shit.
People just... I'm sorry. I mean, no, I didn't.
No, this is the quiet one. I put away childish things. I put away, back when I wondered why my Mac was crashing, I put away my DOS, which is very, very loud.
Yes.
And so now I'm just using the Logitech K760. Which is
fancy.
renewable, much like Johnny Ive's orange socks. It's solar. I love that touch.
Oh, you've been using that bad boy forever. Not that I'm creepy.
No, this boy is bad. It was a gift. If memory serves, this is a gift from JXPX1138. I think he gave this to me as a gift. Yeah, I like the DOS a lot, but my office is really quite a thing. I should take a photo of this and send it to you because you would really like it.
I mean, I don't want to blow, I don't want to shoot my Lady Wad in advance, but I just think it's funny that the 2 times Max has not been on the show, unfortunately, he is at his law school orientation today,
right.
Just happened to be the ones that I assigned a challenge that had to do exclusively with Apple.
I thought of that last night. How funny is that?
Yeah.
You know what? Tell our listeners. Tell our listeners about Max. I heard he's a good law boy now.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show.
But now
Max
it's officially on.
Yeah, we are all very, very proud of Max. He is getting a master's in law, which is something that a lot of folks in politics do. And
he's running. He's running. He's running.
And, suddenly he just went to Iowa one week.
I want to go and meet the people of the corn. It's important for me, for my business.
Let's look at the Facebook users. How do you use Facebook Live in this car plant?
When Mr. Max comes by, please do not touch him or speak to him personally. I love people.
I do have, just to start off, an official statement Max has asked me to read.
Oh, right.
Which if I was a good employee, I would have. All right. Max Temkin at, I believe, 8:04 Central Time. Please say that Max said our president is a dumb asshole.
Yeah. I'm glad you got that out there.
just so folks know.
Yeah. Last night was rough.
Oh, wow.
Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah. I know that I shouldn't. I know that my mental health would improve if I just didn't watch this as I'm in bed. And, oh, boy. It was a 2020 rally, which I'm sure I can't look at political Twitter very often anymore, but just it was in Twitter moments. And I'm like, okay, so the youth are watching this and it's oh, God.
Yeah. I was recording with Syracuse last night, recorded a very funny episode with John Syracuse. And I came home and it was nice and it was early and I got to say goodnight to my kid and hang out with her a little bit. And it was really nice. And then, of course, I sat down and I looked at Twitter and it was apparent that something very special had happened. And
that's one way to put it.
and I watched CNN. Oh, my God. And then and CNN kind of took off the gloves last night. So I ended up going and watching the whole thing. And, in some ways, the most remarkable part, I was kind of obsessed with all the people behind him. Mm-hmm. Like the Donald Trump loves black people guy, who's apparently a nut. Mm-hmm. And that one smiling Veterans for Trump guy in the lower right who didn't stop smiling. He had this rictus of pleasure that was really disturbing. Did you notice that guy?
Oh yeah, like the I
he kept making this face the whole time. He had this face on.
No one told me to be here. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
I want somebody to take that entire thing and not in a mean way, but I would like them to remove Trump from the picture, like just make an outline of where he was standing at a given time, and then make a 1 minute, compress that to be 1 minute long, so that you can watch the energy of that thing utterly drain. people were so crazy for the first however long, and they'd occasionally get a big laugh line, and he'd hit all his big points. And then by the end, everybody just looked really tired. It was very hot to wait, and they couldn't bring water in. Everybody was dehydrated. And by the end,
oh my gosh.
Security wouldn't let them bring in water. And it was over 100 degrees waiting outside. But anyway, I mean, what do we say? But it was such a spectacle. And CNN shouldn't be diagnosing him. It's like, well, did you just not see the same thing that I just saw? Did you? I mean, this one poor guy, this poor bastard from the GOP was there, and he seemed like a really smart guy, but he was saying, hey, look, if we want to stay credible, we've got, as media people, we've got to not be diagnosing people. And I'm like, on the one hand, that's true, but at what point do you start going, this is really fucked up? Like, this man is not okay. Like, when is it going to be all right to say, I don't know what his problem is, but this is not okay?
I don't know. This is where Max would jump in and start reading part of the transcript. And
I miss him already.
I can remember is Antifa, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
I know.
It's like when he was like LGBTQRRSTUV, and
expialidocious.
And when he pointed at the media and in the back, and they started booing, and I'm like, okay, so definitely not Brave New World, 1984, and I know, read another book.
Another book, bitch. Yeah, no, but it's that's the thing. And for like earlier in the night, I joked about, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Soap Dish. That's a pretty old movie, but it's a kind of a sleeper. It's a really good movie about drama. It's a comedy, but it's about, personal drama on the set of a soap opera. And it's got a young Robert Downey. It's got Whoopi Goldberg. It's got a wonderful Sally Field, Terry Hatcher. It's a really good cast. Oh, Kevin Kline, of course. But so I don't know if you were ever a General Hospital person, but it's kind of a Ramona Clay of General Hospital, where Sally Field plays the Erica Kane character. And she's portrayed as this incredibly insecure person who's kind of aging out of her role. And anytime she reaches rock bottom, I want to say producer, Whoopi Goldberg, takes her to Paramus, New Jersey. She takes her to a mall where she'll wear like a headscarf and glasses. And then Whoopi will recognize her at the mall and go, oh, aren't you? Oh my God, you're from that show. And then of course everybody at the mall jumps in and covers her with adulation. So anytime she starts feeling low, she just takes her to a mall in New Jersey to cheer her up. And that's what these rallies feel like. This really feels like, on the one hand, the times when he's just coming out of, usually, I mean, obviously these things take time to plan, but days and weeks of just overwhelming bad stuff. And often as not, let's just guess, maybe some bad stuff that's already on the horizon that we don't know about just yet. And this is his opportunity to go and recharge his crazy battery.
I wonder if that was, I mean, I know it's Trump's razor or whatever, but I wonder if his aides are just like, okay, he's really, really down. We need to let him pull out that paper with his statements.
Oh my God.
Over. I can't. I just keep watching it over and over. He's done it 3 times now, at least. And
yeah,
it just conveniently leaves out the last sentence.
Right.
Fake news.
Yeah. Right. It's. Well, here we are. We're here on our program. We miss Max. We miss our little law boy.
Yeah. Ugh.
How's it going to cut into his already kind of insane schedule of games working and complaining?
We'll see.
Yeah, it seems like getting a master's degree takes a fair amount of a person's time.
Maybe he has another time turner. I don't know. I've only
smart.
read one book. Yeah. You don't have to answer this question.
Yeah.
Do you talk to your kid about this?
Yeah. Oh God, all the time. All the time. Yeah.
I mean, I on another program you mentioned how she'll just send you pictures of that's amazing. I don't know how I would talk to a child in this world, and I admire all of the parents I know, and especially like the queer and Black parents who are like, this is our world now.
It's well, I mean, one of the things I promised myself that I had to backtrack on immediately after having a child was I said, I'm never going to lie to my child, which is bullshit. You lie to your child all the time. It's just what level of lying can you live with? And like, how do you lie in a way that is not evasive of a deeper truth? And so, like, you can't tell the whole story. Like, when you tell the kid not to get in a white van because a clown needs to find his puppy, like, you can't go into super deep detail on why that is. But you need to establish that this is an important thing, even if it's a nice clown and your dad said it was okay. Like, that you have to find a way to have that conversation. Yesterday, second day of school, they relearned the procedure for fire drills. They relearned the procedure for earthquake drills, and they relearned the procedure for lockout and lockdown drills. And they talked about what happens if somebody tries to come in the classroom, and we can throw beanbags at them. We hide behind here. We try to stay very quiet. There's just facts of life that a kid has to deal with nowadays. But, go ahead.
Oh, wait, so when you say we can throw beanbags at them, are they training the kids like a child militia?
Again, I call this the sliding scale of truth or youth truth. It's hard to understand what a little kid, it is problematic to take a kid at the actual syllables that come out of their mouth because they're a kid and their understanding of the world goes a certain way. I think what they're saying is, I'm imagining what they're saying is, the basic thing is, if we get this notice, we need to lock the door. We need to go to this area. We need to be very quiet. I suspect that gets at some sort of at a point we might need to distract this person kind of thing. I don't know. But the only, I guess what I would say is that it's really easy and comes naturally to me to try and explain the world to a little person. But like I in a dumb eye-rolling way, I have a lot to learn from that little person because I bring my own prejudices and understandings of being raised in the early to mid 1970s, very different from hers. Like her world is so different, not just in terms of lockdowns, but in terms of the redonkulous diversity of what's just normal for her life. Like I didn't have a kid with a headscarf in my class every year. I didn't have like half kids from Asia in my class, kids from Russia, kids, like that. We have a not strictly diverse neighborhood, but, diverse enough. Like there's a lot of Russian people, there's a lot of Chinese people, there's a lot of just different people, and that's all okay. And the idea of like making fun of somebody because they like somebody of the same gender is just not a thing anymore. It's weird. That's not anything we need to preach anymore. That's just how things are now. There's rainbow flags in the school. It's like we have these diversity days. We have I've sent you pictures from the parade, the gay pride parade at her school. Yeah. I sent you her and her best friend with their little rainbow flags they made. That's all just normal now. So like, anyway, I'm carrying on, but it's no. We talk about Trump all the time. He's a regular fixture in the house. I think I sent you a photo of her rapidly increasing Trump impersonation. She's really good. She's really good with the OK symbol, and we've recently been working on exposing the lower teeth.
Oh!
When you talk like this, and you make the little anus with your mouth, but you expose just these 4 lower teeth. That's very important to the visual. Try it. If you want to be able, you got to expose the lower teeth.
I wrote this on immediately. I came out against prejudice. Okay. I can't do it. She's definitely got me on this. I think she's got Max on this.
Did you? There's a really good. I don't know if you still listen to Trumpcast, but Jacob Weisberg is on a lot of the time. But Virginia Heffernan, who I love, hosts a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
She did a whole episode in the last month or so with John DiDomenico, the guy who does the tweets.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that one, but it's very, very funny. And I'll send you the Slate Plus extra so you can hear basically just them shucking and jiving for a long time. It's very, very funny. But he teaches her how to do Trump, and it's very, very funny. The gravelly voice, and you can hold your nose, and it's so funny.
Man, people don't. I should shut you down. People don't like the impressions. No more Bane. No more Trump. No.
My statement was very clear on Saturday. I have a copy of it right here. I'd be happy to read to you.
Who doesn't like Bane? Everybody likes Bane. That's a bit within a bit. Everybody loves Bane. That should be a TV show. I'd watch that. Everybody loves Bane.
I want to break the wheel.
So, you notice what I did here in the document. I've renamed this to follow-up and front matter because there are some things that are not strictly John Syracuse 2010 follow-up.
Correct.
And front matter. You've added something to the list that I'm interested in. Tell me about Nice Goat People.
I don't know if you guys missed this or just did not share my enthusiasm, but after we shared, Max and I told the story of the goat debacle where Wicker Park Fest took our live goats and then I replaced it with a life-size stuffed baby goat, and then that was stolen like 20 minutes after, and someone just sent a stuffed goat to our office.
They said somebody said, "Do you have an address where I could send something?" And then they went and sent you a goat.
Yeah, and it was anonymous. And there's apparently a service called You Goat Mail, which its sole purpose is to send anonymous goats. So I'm very grateful. Like, oh man, I'm hugging him right now, Rancho Jr.
Little Rancho. He's a good goat.
Got to keep him away from those clown boxes, but yeah, he's not leaving.
You owe me a hand-drawn map. Hand-drawn maze.
He needs a cell phone.
You will sacrifice that we might live.
Have you? This is what people tune in for.
Yeah.
Did you get charged again for CISO?
Oh no, it's hilarious.
You're
kidding? You got charged again?
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh wow! So it's really running like a top at that place.
Yeah. I mean, keep my $3. I hope it goes to the Mackel boys and Camera and Rhea and all the nice folks. But I don't think I don't know who's seeing that money.
I realized early on it's problematic to complain about CISO. First of all, because a lot of our friends that we like on the internet have things there. And then, of course, Cameron wrote that very nice piece about what CISO as a thing permitted her to do that would have been very difficult anywhere else, her and Rhea. So, I mean, I hate to be critical of these people who had, I guess, a good idea, but like it was a shit service. It was a terrible service and a terrible app. It streamed markedly slower than any other service similar to that I use, such that I think something's goofy. And the app was dog shit. Like using it on the Apple TV was the worst. And
I know that we like to bitch about the like scroll, tap, but I've never. It was the
alphabetical
worst.
order? Really? I paid whatever $6 a month for something that starts with an M, and it's literally all that I've watched on here. Dugga-da. But that's so hilarious. So basically, as soon as Justin had said, "Hey, look, these episodes are moving," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess this is my cue." So I went and canceled CISO, and I got this "We're sorry you're going" note, and like less than 24 hours, it was like, "Well, the service is going away," but you got charged anyway.
Yeah, that's. I mean, whatever. I think people know that when people bitch about CISO and complain about CISO, they are complaining about NBC.
Just to be fair, though, I mean, whatever good intentions are happening at the higher floors of that office, the implementation of that service was antithetical to how exactly the people who would pay for that service would want to use it. Vis-a-vis, This is meant to be a streaming-only play for comedy for hipsters, essentially. I mean, how many people actually signed up for that so they could watch reruns of NBC shows? Probably not that many. People who signed up, that was a groundswell effort of each one of those bespoke shows. I guess Paul F. Tompkins has a show on there. Like, there's a ton of people who came to that network because their heroes said, "Hey, come sign up for this. It'll support me and other people like me," which is exactly the kind of thing where you would want a bespoke app. And instead, if it was like a garbage fire, it was like a first cut of a web view. To use that app, it was trash, and it did not differentiate very well. It was a bunch of stuff I didn't know about or didn't want to see, and the stuff I did want to find, there was no way to market as the thing that I was there for. Antithetical to the idea of finding your heroes and putting a star on it, which is what people like to do.
Like, let's say I'm in Seattle and I'm enjoying some marijuana products. It was really, really hard to find the shows I wanted to see, and I thought maybe
especially after the edibles, it's hard to scroll.
Maybe it was these gummy bears, but then the next day I'm like, oh nope. It's just I just want to watch my lesbians.
I know, and the thing that's frustrating to me as an old man is like, gosh darn, I am more than happy. I just paid $3. I just paid for a season of Project Runway sight unseen because we want to be able to get to it quickly and have it around. Is that worth $3 an episode? It is absolutely not. But in this case, I would happily pay. You know what? What is it, 6 episodes? I'll pay $60. Let me go buy these episodes and then have them. I will pay that money, but that's not the model. So like right now, I can't even steal it. There's not a copy out there that I can even find. I would buy it if I could. What I'm not going to do is sign up for a service to watch commercials for streaming TV. That's just not, again, who is that for? It's the worst of both worlds. Have you done that? Have you signed up for the new service?
Oh, no, I have not. Mostly because I'm
called?
Also confused by it. And there's a lot of, for a while, I didn't even think there was an app. And also the shows, like, I don't think Take My Wife is on there. Like, and so I want to give these people like their $30 for a show that was incredibly, cheap to make and like get.
I'll watch those Mabim Bam episodes for years. Like I can't tell you how many times I've watched Ranchos, The Cult, and the amazing final episode. Gotta have my vape. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that episode. Oh, and of course the one with the youths and the water bottle flipping. But I've watched that over. In the time that I had CISO, I watched it over. I would happily pay for that. But it's just the way that this is kind of relevant though is that it's awkward to live through the growing pains of this kind of change in this case media, where you're still seeing some of the thinking and spreadsheets of previous generations and trying to figure out what to do next. They can't make a giant leap to making everything exactly the way everybody wants it. But, Netflix lived through those growing pains. When Netflix first had streaming, it was garbage. It was like, okay, you still get your DVDs, plus you get this streaming thing that's stuff you'd never watch on like basic cable. And then it became Netflix. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just that for a while you got to live through the growing pains and the generations of new staff coming in that are okay with doing it a different way. I just don't think CISO was up to it.
That autoplay on Netflix, though.
Oh my God. The autoplay, the video thingy, and the fact that everything scrolls now. There's no, you can't just go left and be at the top of anything anymore.
I just want my stories.
I feel unmoored. I don't know where I am. Bug it up. I'm glad you got your goat. I think that's a nice thing.
This is long time front matter, I guess. But I keep forgetting about it. Some folks sent us Max and I sent Merlin's, but I still don't believe that you actually get mail. I've sent you like 6 copies of a book that our friend wrote that would love to have you read it. But
oh no, I haven't gotten it.
Nope. But we talked about how wonderful, using Q-tips are in our ears. And
that's got that. There's some kind of special nerve connection that might surprise you.
Yeah, not psychosexual at all. Totally normal, completely fine. Everything's fine. But they sent what is essentially what looks like a chopstick with a little scratchy dingus at the end, like one of those old bamboo back scratchers. You got
an ear dildo.
Yeah, it would.
Oh my God! Does it make your butt tingle when you use it?
It is. I've never. This is the first time I'm using it.
Please FedEx it to me.
Oh
my God!
Oh my! Oh my. Oh.
Do you feel it?
Oh, this is lovely. Well.
What part are you rubbing on? You rubbing on the little curvy inside part?
The idea is you can kind of get in there, not quite, not quite to the ear canal. I'm doing the Max thing where I'm not on mic. But hello. And my ear, the thing is though, I'm very self-conscious and keep my ears very clean, but I think the idea is this is like a scooper mechanism. So I feel like you would both enjoy this.
Okay, well let's give a little love. What is the brand, or what, if somebody wanted to find that, what's that called?
Oh no, it is from a bespoke Asian grocery store. So if you've got one of those, or if you're in the Chicago suburbs, H Mart, I guess. Let's
okay. Well, I'll go. We do have a bespoke Asian grocery store that is really more like a zoo than a grocery store. There's like meats and fowl and fish section is it's more like going to an aquarium. Need a giant clam? Not a problem. Giant clam, that is a very disturbing thing. Okay, all right. And so what is it called?
You know what? I can't read Korean, but
okay, well let's just let go and let God. Ear scratcher?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. How about Asian ear scratcher? Is that ping pong?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, bamboo ear pick?
I think so. Yeah. That seems
hang
right.
on. Okay, so the ones I'm seeing here have what look like charms you would put on your Nokia phone attached to a chopstick with a little scoop hand at the end.
That seems about right, except mine has a little pom-pom sort of at the end that's supposed to, this postcard says that you're supposed to, like scoop, and then this is like the cleanse.
Okay.
Yeah, like how there's the flossy, like when you have floss, those little pick things where you use the floss and then you use the other side to like scrape out the.
Alex, I'm learning so much.
Stuff.
Here's a whole world. I've just found Japanese high quality ear cleaning Pick 3 Picks Mimikami from Japan, and those have what looks like a giant cotton ball on the end.
Yes.
And then a scooper. Oh, there's a whole world out here.
Mm-hmm.
Gold tone metal. Oh, doctor. Gold tone metal ear pick spoon curette earwax remover Chinese character style 10 pieces.
Wait, the link that you sent me is to Walmart.
Look at this. Walmart has all the great ear picks.
Oh, good.
Look at this.
Good.
There's a whole world here. LED light ear pick spoon curette earwax.
Get your guns and your
remover.
Asian.
This one's got science, Alex. Look at that. The flashlight ear pick. It says right on there. I heard on the NPR this morning. Boy, these are terrible URLs. I heard on the NPR this morning that Google is partnering with Walmart to try and compete with Amazon. That basically their version of talking to the dingus to order things is going to be your Google Home will at some point soon be able to get things from Walmart.
Can't see that backfiring.
Really the best of both worlds.
So will you be able to order guns through your Google Home? Like okay. Like,
let's hang on one second. Alexa, order a rifle. Alexa, order a rifle. Oh, come on. Alexa, buy me a gun.
have you ever misspoken to Alexa and suddenly she starts this has never happened to me before, but I must have said like all right, I'm gonna do it now. Alexa, count down from 10. And if that triggered your Alexa, it is the scariest thing that has like ever. I almost like unplugged her. I'm like, what is happening right now? And I can't.
What's it? Should I do it?
Let's see. Does it work?
Alexa, count down from 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oh, that was more upsetting than I expected.
Yeah.
Let's find some good. Let's visit our Alexa page. Alexa heard collection baby. Sorry, I couldn't find the answer to your question. What's this from?
I don't know that.
Oh, okay. She heard play Lil White Play Bouquet. And so it played a song called Bouquet Final. Oh, my daughter's playing Clint Eastwood a lot. Look at that. She likes the gorillas now because they're in a movie. How old is Jerry Seinfeld? That was real.
Wait, what movie are they in?
I want to say maybe, was it Trolls? It's...
For some reason, I've become a lot more invested in Trolls.
Yeah, she watched it and she likes it. But wait till she sees the next one, am I right?
Have you seen the Emoji Movie?
No, absolutely not. That was a bridge too far. She didn't even, that was one where even when we saw it in the theater, we were like, I don't know about this. You know?
Turns out I was on total media blackout for the Emoji Movie. Didn't know what it was.
Did you end up seeing it?
No, but it's kind of like one of those things where you're hovering over that iPad button and you don't push it, but you're like, I just wonder. So I might do it. Challenge, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the reviews were not salutary.
How has Siri been for you lately?
Well, Siri continues to be kind of what John Syracuse calls like internet weather type situation, where some days it works really well. I am frequently really amazed with how often so I do that. I think I mentioned I do that thing where when I wake up in the morning, I say to my watch, remind me to get my watch in 1 hour, and then I put it on the stand, and that gives it a nice charge up. But like it mishears me a lot lately. It mishears the wrong thing. Like today, well, I don't want to say anything too personal, but we had a stinky pair of shoes that I needed to de-stink when I got home. We didn't want to wear those today because they were stinky. And so I did the treatment on them with the silica packets. And what was it that it heard me say? It heard me say, letter D, stink, Alex, chew. And I knew what it meant, remind me to D, stink, Alex, chew when I arrive at the house in 30 minutes. And it did do that. Well, how's it been for you lately?
Well, I sent you some things from this morning where I was trying to play stuff from my car, and it heard I'm not okay. So Apple Music got the song right, which I guess win for Siri. But when I said play I'm Not Okay by My Chemical Romance, it was shut up, play I'm Not Okay by Chemical Room. But it got it, but it still got it. Yeah.
It got the words wrong, but it grokked what it is you probably wanted.
Which was really impressive to me. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I got Play Anthem. I did Play Anthem Part 2 by Blink-182, and it got that. However, it played Anthem Part 2 by Rockabye Baby lullaby renditions of Blink-182, which I don't know if that's a fault of Apple Music, or it was very pleasant. I enjoyed it. But
that's very strange.
Yeah.
The Amazon lady continues to be the winner for me.
Well, how do you Spotify that, or are you just saying in general for that in terms of like voice?
Well,
stuff?
I mean, I have. It would be disingenuous not to admit that I buy most of my stuff from Amazon. And so, I mean, just to get that out of the way,
You're like a millennial.
I know, I'm a bad person, but given that truth, it would also be silly for me to not leverage using the Dingus to order and reorder stuff. So now, for example, I gave my daughter my really nice pencil sharpener because it was for the first day of school. And so I said, Dingus, reorder Coom long point pencil sharpener. And then on the view, it pulls up the options and you say, which one do you want? You click it and it buys it. Reorder paper towels, that kind of stuff. And so I still find the Amazon product to be far superior at getting what I said, even when it's weird and difficult, and then knowing what to do about it.
Yeah, I know that I'm bugging my house, but oh my god, holy fucking shit!
What?
Not that I'm a person that would be like looking at my laptop when I'm recording a podcast. I'm a professional.
No, sure.
But just saw that picture you sent me of your office.
Oh yeah.
You okay? Everything
Everything's
all
good.
right?
The funny part is
right?
those kombuchas are from our kombucha era. I really need to get rid of those.
I mean, I'm surprised
Yeah.
they're not like growing into little monsters.
Well, it's a
because
living
they're gonna
beverage.
Be,
Yeah.
yeah. I would love it if just like little Pokemon type things slowly. You could be creating life.
Yeah, Hakuna Matata. I can see my fidget spinner. Not my fidget spinner. My cube.
Man, I'm sorry. Sorry, Max. I stole some of your Carmax.
Ooh, wax-based
Carmex.
vanilla karma.
Oh wait, these are for cold sores too. What the heck?
Well, they say that. All it is, basically, it's wax and aspirin.
It's a pleasant. I wonder if people put
It's
this in other places.
It's
a very-
doctor. It's totally addictive because pretty soon you're going to need it. It's like a chapstick or one of those nose suckers that Max uses.
Oh, that's. I would not be surprised if that's the thing that happened.
There were a lot of Carmex addicts at my college.
Seriously?
Yeah, because basically, so you start putting it on and then you start needing it. Because basically there's acetylsalicylic acid, so there's aspirin in there. And what that's doing is that's putting a little aspirin on the cracks in your lips and going, and it smells nice. But then pretty soon you kind of need it. You know what I'm saying? It's like the opioid crisis.
Yeah, I haven't been putting it on for the past 40 minutes or anything.
Oh, good. That sounds healthy.
All right, man. I thought last week's episode was going to be the worst week ever, but this is
no.
this.
I'm sorry.
This is definitely.
I'm trying.
This is definitely the worst. No. It's all. It's not me. It's you.
Yeah, it is me. You want a Yahoo? I got the Dateline next door. Neighbor Yuri. Subject line. Is it bad? Body text. Are people who steal lemons bad people? That's it. And then there's a picture of somebody. There's a security cam picture of somebody.
Like in the act of stealing a lemon, or just a shady figure.
It's an elderly Chinese lady with a backpack grabbing a lemon. Okay, so here's some of the responses. Neighbor Amy says, unless they are starving, then yes, they aren't good. Neighbor Charles, bordering on sociopathic, unless they're undocumented aliens or PG&E, of course. How many lemons did they stick in their backpack?
Not good.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of amateur lemon legal scholars in here. She should be hosed down with a power washer or a paint gun. I understand how to share, but this is just outright theft. Why doesn't she help herself to a car tire or two while she's at it? This is why we can't have nice things, says neighbor Joseph.
I mean, that's true. Like, if you're going for
Hose
lemon,
her down.
why not go
Hose
out?
down the old lady. That'll teach her. She seems to be this is neighbor Gladys. She seems to be the same person who comes and gets all my recycle when they are inside of my property. Hose her down. Bordering on sociopathic. Thank you, neighbor Yuri. I've stopped mostly reading Nextdoor because it's all sad. It's all car break-ins and coyotes. And loud noises. It's never ducking and it's always fireworks.
People, I don't know if you've seen that, but people have been sending us like all of these things about how Nextdoor is super racist, and there's no quick fix for the Nextdoor problem. And I because white people use it. Of course, there's gonna be saw a guy with a hoodie. Oh, this is a long article. I'm not going to
well, because that's the thing is it's sort of why I sometimes like have a little laugh at you and Max when you go to find out what people think on the internet, because what people have to say on the internet is rarely temperate by design. That's not what it's for. And if you think about like why people would come to Nextdoor, well, they're there out of concern. They're not there out of like just wanting to share good wishes, at least not in the crime and safety section. They're there because they're scared. They're worried about change. And like we said before on here, I think they are often struggling with the way culture changes and how they understand it. And they're looking for reinforcement of the idea that things work a certain way, not necessarily in a strictly racist way, but more in a sense of like, I understand what kinds of things to be suspicious about, and I need more proof that I'm suspicious of the right things. I don't think that's strictly always racist, although it does pair nicely with it. I think it's often people who just want somebody to agree that they're being paranoid about the right things.
They like want an amuse-bouche of paranoia, basically. Like just something to get them started.
I think so. Don't you think it's somewhat of a tribal thing, though?
I found something really interesting about like my next door like community or whatever. We have like gated communities a few blocks down from us, and they are just like siphoned off and not on our next door map. So I don't know how this works, but like next door has a separate community for these gated
You have a gated next door?
I don't. I can't see it. We're the peasants. All right, you have created like a big boy Google Doc. I've never actually looked at a Google Doc so much during a podcast. This is very exciting for me.
How do you mean? Because we added all this front matter to it?
I guess so. What is this? We need to talk about Alex's attraction to tech boyfriends? Okay.
Can this be our amuse-bouche?
Sure. But one quick point of order, and I think we need to revisit this when Max is back. But we talk a lot about, let's say, undercarriage hygiene.
Yeah.
And it just hit me. It's always about when you guys are shitting. I have to sit down every time I go to the bathroom. You don't have to do that.
You don't have to. You don't have. Nobody's making you.
Okay, true. That's true.
You could get one of those Indian subcontinent toilets that's just like a big hole you squat over. Would you like to squat over a hole, Alex? Is that something you'd enjoy? Sorry, guys, got to go squat.
Oh boy,
Squatty potty.
I'm also we have those in all of our office bathrooms. I don't know why. I don't know who determined this. They
Talking
just
about the
little
stair step thing.
The thing that was
potty.
on Shark.
Yeah.
Shark Tank thing.
Tank.
But I'm also a little concerned. You guys spend a lot of time in the bathroom.
Do I?
I don't know.
I think I spend a reasonable amount of time in the bathroom. Yeah, I don't know. I think for some people it's we shouldn't talk too much about poop. But I don't like to pee sitting down. I'm not dead set against it. I will tell you that there are a lot of men who are not going to make a big show of it. But there are a lot of men for whom, for a variety of reasons, they are very happy to go into a stall, drop trowel, and sit down to pee. I know a lot of guys, they don't talk about it. I think it's partly out of convenience. It's largely out of privacy. But there are a lot of guys, because if you're going to be sitting down, you might as well have privacy. There are a lot of guys that like to pee sitting down, and they just don't talk about it.
Well, the thing that I was brought to my attention is a lot of times a guy will have to pee, but instead of going into a stall, they will wait in line for a urinal. Why is this a social code? Why can't you just go and stand? If you want to be a stander, stand in a stall. You do that.
That's a very good observation, and
weird.
It is. You know what? You're absolutely right. I haven't given a tremendous amount of thought, but my hot take would be that you want to show and prove that you're not the kind of guy who's a stall stander.
I'm a penis stander.
I'm a penis boy. I stand over here by this guy, and I never go to the kids' urinal. I always go to the big boy urinal. Most restrooms, let's say you got a usual, typical 3 urinal setup with the little partitions, and you'll have like on the frequently on the like innermost, like closest to the corner away from the door, you'll have a big one. You have another big one, then you'll have a lower one that's like for a kid to use. But it's just as easy for a grown-up to use it. But you get into some very interesting prisoner's dilemma. Because first of all, there's the kind of like being in an elevator, there's the unwritten rule of like, just like with treadmills, you never take the urinal right next to somebody if there's any other option. Mm-hmm. But you get into some funny prisoner's dilemma where like you also don't want to be I think in men's lore, you don't want to be the one who uses the little boy urinal.
Oh yeah, no, because that means your penis is short enough to use.
You have little penis, yeah.
I don't know how pee works.
But the thing is, it's actually closer to the ground. That would better accommodate an enormous, like say, like 5 to 7 foot long penis. It would be better.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is like, shouldn't it be like, yeah, I can use this. Look at how close my dick is to the
just look at
porcelain.
Now wait. Now let me ask you another thing though. While we're on this though, I feel like we talked about this. Have we talked about how much clothing you want or need to have on to use the bathroom? We talked about this, didn't we?
Oh yeah, the phenomena of many people like their stages.
I've
of
been
being
asking.
naked.
I just want to say I've been asking about this, and I'm finding out that more and more people want to be neither fully clothed nor fully naked when they use the bathroom. I have been in my travels asking around. I've discovered there are people who will put on clothes to go to the bathroom. Not a lot of clothes, but some people are not comfortable using the bathroom naked.
I mean, I guess that I don't think about it often.
These are private worlds. We don't talk about these
is.
things with other people.
I mean, this is why Donald Trump happened. That wasn't a funny joke.
That's the future
something
that
liberals conservatives. But like, so people are like, let's say they're getting in or out of the shower. They need to either disrobe or robe to a certain amount to make sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
the conversation originally began however many months ago with, I think I was bringing up the phenomenon of learning that there are people who are very particular about certain pieces of clothes they take off, especially when they make a number 2. Like there are some people who take off their pants or take off their shirt and put it on a hanger when they go to make a number 2.
weird. I mean, I don't want to judge. I know, like I have a lot of friends with like IBS and stuff like that, and it like I don't want to make fun of people who it's. I'm a very self-conscious peer. It's
really.
Oh yeah, no. Even with my like, if it's in my personal bathroom and I know my wife can hear me, I'm like, okay. Don't worry, but I'm very anxious right now. I might be in here for like 10 minutes to take a shit, and I will be playing a podcast. So I guess that's I don't like using the bathroom in silence. It's very upsetting. Don't like shitting in the office. Very, very upsetting.
I think you got the first couple lines of a pretty good country song here. Well, I don't like peeing in silence. I don't like shitting in the office. No matter what you hear for the next 10 minutes, don't come in.
There would be screams and grunts. Just let it be. Let it be.
Okay, I changed my mind. Ah, get me out.
I wonder if people have like some say, like I know a lot of people like this. I wonder if there's like a safe word.
Oh, right. Red.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
It's always beats.
Now I'm just picturing. I wonder if there's folks in our office who need a certain amount of like. I don't know. Like, there's no place to hang a shirt. There's no place to.
Right.
Have you encountered any of these people who practice this in a public place?
I mean, it's not something people are comfortable talking about in any way.
I can't imagine why.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like so one thing I've always believed is there's some part of I'm guessing every American who wonders if they wipe wrong, because we don't talk about that. And if we do talk about it, it's really gross and weird. But that just to me is a canonical example of the kind of like, I wonder if I do this weird and differently from everybody. And sometimes you'll hear about it with foods where you go like, oh, that's a strange way to eat an Oreo. And you're like, well, I don't know. That's the only way I've ever eaten an Oreo. And I never talk about eating an Oreo, right? It's not just for going to the bathroom, but especially with going to the bathroom, you're probably not going to have a round table when the meeting's getting started about whether you go front to back, side to side, up and down. Are you wearing a dress? Do you put your shirt on? Nobody's going to have that conversation. Like, what if you suddenly discovered after like 15 years that your kid can't pee without eating a donut? Like you'd want to know about that and like get in there and say like, this is going to really limit your options in life. You can't always get a donut.
Do you think, I feel like, I always wonder about, I've heard one person doing this, a standing shitter, which I don't know. This seems like something Trump would do. Like my father
used to be
can aim exactly into the toilet.
My father doesn't even need to stand on the seat. The seat accommodates him, and it's good. There was a back at our the Publix that we live near, the supermarket we live near in college. There was a widely known local character called the Phantom Shitter, and there was somebody who would go into the ladies' room at our Publix, and I wish I could show you by demonstrating this. It was basically agreed by everybody that works at Publix. There's no way this man or woman could accomplish what they accomplished unless they stood on the seat and did basically like a sexy hula dance. Because there was the splatter patterns were so, I mean, you could tell by the droplets, like you'd see on like CSI, you could see that this was coming from quite a distance. And unless they were like, so look at, like I'm standing up here and I'm going kind of like,
Well, and I have to wonder about the regularity of this, like because the splatter can't be a good thing.
Okay,
to
well
happen
let's
all the
just
time.
we need to get to offices, and this is actually a pretty good pivot to offices. There is a genre of person that I'm just going to call a bathroom ruiner. Now, I'm not talking about your garden variety had too many onions last night person. I'm talking about there is a phenomenon, and I see this at our public library all the time. I can think of one specific occasion where we had a phantom shitter of our own at the library, and they're always trying to catch this guy. One day, this is back when my kid was real little, and back when I'd take her into the men's room and go to the stall, right? Because that's what you got to do when your kid's 2 or 3, right? You're not going to let them just go, just go in the ladies' room. It'll be fine. And we wait. And my kid's really got to pee at this point because kids don't realize they have to pee until they really have to pee. And this man from the neighborhood comes out, totally stone-faced. He walks out. So now I run my kid into this bathroom. Approximately 6 rolls of toilet paper plus poop, full rolls of toilet paper plus poop have been stuffed into the commode. This man just did this by design. For some reason, this guy took a dump and then decided to make the bathroom uninhabitable. And I went out, and like I do, and I was like, "Hey!" And I said to the library guy, "This guy just totally ruined
this man?"
Oh, always. Oh, I yell at everybody. You come into the crosswalk. That's my crosswalk. That's my bathroom. My daughter can't go. She plays with her toys. She can't go and use the bathroom now. So I went and I said, library guy, this guy just ruined the bathroom. And the guy goes, oh, not again. And he chases the guy out of the building. This is something the guy does a couple times a week. He just comes in and ruins the one stall public restroom at our library just because that's a thing that he does. Much like the phantom shitter at Publix.
And
pivot to offices.
Publix is a nice place.
It's where shopping is a pleasure.
It is. That is actually one thing that I genuinely enjoy when I go to Florida.
Oh, have you been?
Oh, hell yes. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? The aisles. It's like it's what I imagine people think America is like. The rest of America is another country, and Publix is America, where you go like, there is so much parking. It can accommodate four different carts down every aisle. All the kinds of ice cream are here.
Where the streets are paved with gold and the aisles are properly labeled.
All the things I ever put in my mouth, I never knew sandwich until I have a Publix sandwich. Everything else was a cold lie.
2 carts can fit in the aisle.
All the carts can go, and you might never see. You see one person in the aisle, they look at the flower. I never see them again. The whole time is so big. I say, I don't need the whole standing rib roast. Could you cut me off the 2-bone rib roast? And they say, yes. I make nice for you and put on the price. And they do it. They do it.
Things haven't been going well with Tony in a while.
Are we doing this?
I'm sorry.
Are we doing this? Isn't that what he says?
Dig dug.
That's the thing about an office is like you got to share that bathroom. You got to work with those people, and you have to not acknowledge what is happening in there. I had a boss who was not my immediate boss, but he was the guy who ran the company that I worked for in the early 90s. And he just didn't, I think he ate a lot of starchy foods and did not drink enough water. And every time he went to the bathroom, it was a holocaust. I mean, we're talking about like mouth noises. We're talking about literally groaning when he was in there.
Okay.
But that's the boss. You can't talk about that. But now, the rest of the time, you're going to walk around the office and say, oh, that's that guy that groans in the bathroom. That's the thing. If you wear nice shoes, people are going to know you're a groaner because they can see it under there.
God.
We know him by his shoes and his groans. Dig Dug.
Dugga. Are you prepared to discuss this week's challenge?
Yeah, I sure am.
All right. The challenge this week was be prepared to talk about the new Apple Park because you know how I enjoy Mr. Ives Dick. And so I linked you guys a Wall Street Journal article that was nearly impossible to read, and I made a PDF of it from Instapaper.
Thank you for doing that.
And also talk. I'm very interested in, because you've worked in many offices. I have not. What is the worst office you've worked in? Shitters aside, squeaky shoes aside, and what's the best office experience you've ever had? Because I'm boring and I like to talk about these things.
Oh, why are you like this? How did you get like this?
I'm Catholic. That's
Oh, the Catholic. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about this. Yeah, that was a hell of an article. It was very. This is, like I say, a famous article from a few weeks ago, where someone was granted extraordinary access to Bono. And to Tim Cook and to Genevieve and lots of other celebrities, and talking about anyway, everybody's read this article, I guess. But it was very interesting for me.
I don't know how they did. Did everybody subscribe to the Wall Street Journal? What happened?
It's so perplexing. But, it was funny because it was at once full of very interesting facts, numbers, and anecdotes and well-noticed moments, but it was also really almost collage-like in the haphazard way that it was put together as a piece of writing. Did you get that at all?
Oh yeah, it was not.
It was not well edited. Like, it didn't have a through line. It was mainly just a lot of anecdotes about how Johnny Ive was a fancy design boy.
Yeah, and it started like sort of this like a feature piece, and then it goes a bit to being in like a column editorial type thing, and then at the end like a bit of reporting on Apple employees being angry. And it just did not float well.
But I mean, but would you grant though that there were? Let me just pull it up. I've got it here. But there were lots of little nice notes. Like I say, like noting that he has orange socks, noticing how he mixes his cranberry juice and whatever soda water, and then has 2 double espressos. That kind of stuff. Those are nice touches, but it didn't. I mean, I know this is not the point of this discussion, but I thought it was kind of uniquely erratic as a piece of writing. J.J. Abrams, it was really strange. It felt like a lot of interesting things on index cards were mostly mixed up and then written down verbatim.
Yeah, I was trying to look up the person who wrote this, but again, Wall Street Journal.
Christina Passariello.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff Bezos. I
talking about the failing Amazon Washington Post?
Yes. Yeah. the fake news of with the lady in the
very few protesters outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Christina Passariello. Is she on political Twitter? No, I don't think I know her.
My favorite like CNN screen cap was with Trump being like, they're not showing the crowds right now. There's not showing the crowds, and it's a wide shot of the like,
right. The lights are going off. They're shutting off the cameras.
Oh God,
that's weird because we have you on camera and live, noting that they're shutting off the cameras.
Oh boy,
that was one of the best parts about the. I'm sorry, I'm regressing.
No,
but one of the best parts
right.
about the it's just like everybody just saying, like, does he not know that we have tape of everything that he said? Because it seems like he doesn't know that. But the truth is, I guess the people who are listening don't care.
Now I'm back and thinking about like the bathrooms at Trump Tower. Like, so I've actually been to both the Trump Tower in New York and the when I was in middle school. It was just I didn't stay there. I don't know what it like. I don't know. This is.
I mean, it's a tourist attraction. It says there's a big sign out front that says these are the hours that visitors are allowed. It's a place that people go.
Yeah. And the Trump tower in Chicago, which isn't even, I mean, people know this, it's like not owned by him, but of course it's our beautiful river walk is fucking ruined because there's oh gosh, I know this is a very fancy like Chicago person to say, and like it's not Willis Tower, it's Sears Tower, but God, it's just the most gaudy, horrific, just it's horrific. But then you go inside and it's like clearly based on like his other properties. He had nothing to do with this because this is a beautiful building with beautiful architecture that was destroyed by his ego.
But it's an interesting, probably maybe unintentionally, an interesting corollary to the Johnny Ive building, where say what you will about whether this will be a great place to work, he clearly has not only thought about every detail of this, but apparently gets frustrated if you even hint at the fact he hasn't thought of every detail. Of course, I've been consulting with an arborist about where to get these trees for years, like all that kind of stuff. But like that's the funny thing about licensing and branding is that, I mean, this is not a particularly interesting or insightful thing, but like, no, he's a guy who gets paid money so you can put these 5 letters on your building in that dumb 80s typeface. That's what he does. There's no imprimatur on his properties except for the ones that I guess he directly owns and gets to make gold.
I don't think he thinks about the typeface. I don't think he thinks about what kind of, toilet paper goes in the bathroom. It's just like, how big are these letters and how often are they going to be scattered across the building? Right. Is there a little urinal for Eric? But, oh man, I imagine that he has one of those like practice, like
a practice potty.
Yeah, well, and I remember this with my brothers. There was these little like stickers you would put in the toilet that you were supposed to aim for.
Aim for this, buddy. You can do it.
Yeah, Yep.
It's hard. Little boys have pee-pee problems. But looking at the article, I mean, I thought it was an interesting read. I mean, just as an article, I thought, and there are a million crazy facts in here. Did I misread this? Okay, so let me go to this one. This was the single most like what moment where I thought this has to be a typo about the cafeteria doors. The main cafeteria, where I began his tour of the recent progress on campus, is a 4-level atrium with massive 440,000-pound glass doors. How do you get a 440,000-pound glass door?
You're the most successful, profitable company in America. That's how you do it, I guess.
Fair.
But that's definitely true. Stephen Levy's piece, which I had linked, is much more masturbatory, and I enjoyed it a lot more, obviously, because of that.
I just Instapapered it.
I love it. That's the one that talks about, the patented pizza boxes and all that jazz.
Oh, that's where all those came from. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas this one's all of the employees complaining. We're weeks late to this, to all the other all the great shows that have talked about open offices and open workspaces, but I don't really have like a dog in this fight because I don't know how people work, but I think it was on Gruber's show where some people were like, yeah, I'm working on something really cool, but after this is done, I am out, which is shocking to me that this
out of the company.
Yeah, because this will be so disruptive and just antithetical to how they work, which is wow. I
mean, gosh, I would never want to say anything against Sojani. I mean, I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but in thinking about the offices I've been in, offices I've visited, offices where I've felt like I thrived for whatever reason, it's difficult to just pin it. Obviously, it's nearly impossible to talk about whether an environment works based on any one factor. Obviously. I mean, how can you account for any workplace by just looking at the building? There must be cases where you go, oh yeah, like we're in a really musty cave. It's a terrible place to write Python. Like I could see that, but like, how do you account for, the culture and all these kinds of things? And obviously he, like Steve, is trying to do a lot of by design social engineering, but I don't know. My impression walking away from this, and I haven't been there. I'm sure it'd be stunning to visit. I bet it's basically like a church meets a forest, but it's interesting to think about building an office or building any kind of a building that's going to have people using it, and the extent to which, on the one hand, you get something like the Apple Store, which is, I don't know if it's a cool place to work. It's definitely a cool place to visit. It's definitely designed with an Apple aesthetic that highlights what is unique about Apple products. In this case, though, I don't know. It would be hard for me not to feel more generic as a human being in this building. It seems like it's really built to be this Zola-esque building that's really about crowds more than individuals. I don't think any one person is too much taken into account for any variety of things here. And that's good, I guess. But like, it does feel like, as gorgeous as it is, it's kind of a big power play about how designy Johnny and Apple are. I don't know if it looks like it would be that great of a place to work for a variety of reasons, just for myself.
So then let's go to people can read the thing. It's if for some reason you are a listener of our show and don't know about don't know about the new Apple campus, Apple Park, it basically looks like a spaceship. And there are a bunch of awesome like drone shots of like it being built. And now they have this is in the Stephen Levy article, not the Levy. I'm not sure. He had a great interview on long form that I liked a lot.
I've loved him for years. He's been great.
So
like as long as I can remember, I was reading him in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading him before Walt Mossberg, just because I don't know that because I was exposed to Wired more than like newspapers. But anyway, like they have now set up like drone protections, which is like a real thing that they did not consider until it was built. Like, oh yeah, people are going to want to see this. People try to sneak into Infinite Loop. Like, of course, this is something.
Right.
And reading this, it just I feel like I would love to work here, but we can get into why in a second. But it feels like so many things haven't been taken into account for an actual workspace. And
I'd love to hear about both.
All right. Well, I'll get into my office experiences. Wow, what a bad show. Hold on, I need some Carmex. Oh, this is really.
Well, why are you like this?
Why
you gotta lean into it? This is the show. This is the show. You're doing the show.
Oh no, I'm leaving. I'm leaving in the Carmex. Don't worry. Don't worry, people.
Why are you so hard on yourself? Because you're Catholic.
Yeah. let's
always blaming the Lord.
But my experiences with offices, and I gotta mention again, like right out of college, hired by Cards Against Humanity. But in college, like the places that we worked, like as students, like, we don't have private offices, and we were always needed to be heads down editing. We didn't have anything like Slack, so we needed to be by each other. And you sort of like build up this system of, I think actually we used like Twitter DMs or something to like get people's attention and be like, hey, can you come look at this edit? Because we were, whether it was like a school cafe or someone's dorm room, like we just sit in silence. But that was the like, it was easy because we were all doing the same thing and we all understood the code of we're getting shit done. Let's all be quiet and do stuff. And even working, I guess, alone, like you as a student in an urban downtown area, like Starbucks often becomes your office. And like, I guess it's kind of like folks who work remotely. You get you take your Warby Parkers and your laptop and go to a cool coffee shop. But then I worked at a documentary production house, it's literally a house. And
oh, really?
Oh yeah, Kartemquin. This is all like public and people know where this is, but don't be creepy.
Yeah.
It was built, a house that was built in the 70s, and they could only, like, the founders bought this house to work out of. And it's not like there's office spaces. They just turned rooms into offices and like made a laundry room, an editing bay, and a shower place, like ripped out the shower. And like, that's where they'd store all the hard drives. But in terms of folks working, it was very hard to get space to like use an editing bay. Like folks who've been like nominated for Oscars, like they couldn't, like they had to squish into this tiny, tiny little space. And when I started off as an intern, we would all just huddle into this basement, and it was constantly loud, constantly like people doing like watching stuff live, and people just like holding their headphones close to their ears so you couldn't you could concentrate on what you were doing.
But it felt ill-suited to what your basic job was.
It was horrific, but we all knew it was horrific, but that is the only option. Like, you're working on a nonprofit film. Like, of course, that's just how it was. It's not like we could go to our bosses and be like, "Hey, so, can we get some cubicles? Like, this room is like smaller than most San Francisco apartments," and that's saying something.
Right.
And then, man, this is boring. But then moving to the first Cards Against Humanity office that I ever worked in, what used to be I hope I'm doing Max justice here. It was a pharmacy storefront in Logan Square, and it was also very small. But we began growing, and it was super cramped. And almost like the day I started working was when Max came in with the plans. Is like, okay, all right, we found our warehouse. We're gonna build an office here. And have you ever seen pictures of our current office?
Yeah, I have. I mean, just like little videos, mostly that people have shot, and some snaps. But it looks. Isn't there like a big like primary, like old sign or something?
It's been like a pickle factory, a candy factory, a car factory, all the great factories.
No, it's a comedy factory.
Oh Lord,
Cards Against Humanity office.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'll put. We have some actually cool.
Oh, there, yeah, Hyundai. Is that what that is? It looks like a container.
Oh yeah, we brought in. And I can say nice things about Max because he's not here. Awesome.
Oh, it's Hyundai. That's what it is. Hyundai.
Yes. So you're looking at our 2 shipping containers that we brought into this office. We knocked out one of the walls and brought in 2 shipping containers and turned them into conference rooms and cubbies. And those were the ones that actually, like, I guess they carried Cards Against Humanity cards. So that was definitely like a cool, not vanity thing, but like this is something nice and special. But like you can see, like we have a super open office. But the intention, all of the thought and design, like Max designed this office, and it's a beautiful, amazing space, and it's the best office.
It's really pretty. It's not inhumane. I mean, it's very modern in the old sense of the word, but it's very warm.
It's and the big thing too is he was very conscious about, like, yeah, this is an open office space, so we are going to build in as many, like, we've got these little cubbies that you can go and hide in, and with humans are just too much. We've got like our studio and our theater, and some of the best work I've ever done is off of the couch in our studio. And
wow.
Yeah, and so I've literally never had a job. I don't think I've ever like seen a cubicle farm in my life. And
what?
This is
really?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, why would I? I've never been in a situation where that.
I mean,
was
just because the color of my
thing.
crystal is that has been the default office setup since I was a child. Going to my mom's real estate office in 1972, like it was cubes.
Yeah.
That's just like all I've ever known. With a couple things that weren't that, but no, by and large, it's. I mean, in some ways, not to interrupt, but like in some ways, it's a little bit like. Whoever your operations person is at a large organization is going to have a lot of sway over how things work from day to day, and certainly things at like a very high level, because like the way that they source things, the way that they buy things, the relationships that they have, the concerns, hangups, or lessons of their past are going to be reflected in all of that. Their parsimony with certain kinds of decisions is all going to be very affected by that. So, I mean, it's just that I think that those were and they weren't cheap. I mean, like actual office cubes are not inexpensive to put together. But like, anyway, so I'm trying to see, God, this is gorgeous. What a pretty, pretty place.
It's, yeah, I mean, so yes, we have the, like, I don't want to say generic, but like what people would think of as an open office. That's what we have. But, what was really, and I'm biased because like I, watched the thing get built and I helped build the studio, and feels like it's Max's baby, but I feel like I helped raise it a little bit. And this is all I've ever known. But also, what really, I'm sorry for saying this, Max, but what you did was so good. He built the office in a way that things can change and adapt to how people need to change and adapt to their work. Which is like I believe that he put the amount of care at the scale that this office exists. Like he put the amount of care that like Johnny Ive would put into his big spaceship, except it doesn't feel like he took into consideration how Apple has worked for the past like he's been there 25 years. And like he's always had his like little design studio and I don't know, like do you completely lack the awareness of how your company works? Why
do you say that?
Because like
you mean in terms of not having more private offices for coders and stuff?
Yeah, I guess. And even folks with let's say I'd heard from folks who are just they just like their cubicles because just turning around and watching like 7 of like the C-level executives, I don't know words, like around that's hugely stressful. And I don't know, like if you're on Team Purple and you've got your secret like air sealed sensory deprivation zone, like that's fine for Ivy Boy, but I don't know. And talent retention is something that I get really scared for Apple because fangirling, but you lost your Swifty boy. It's
right.
All right, I've talked far too much for this episode. I'm done.
Well, I mean, one thing that seems like a unique challenge, it's first of all, I mean, I'm not saying this is what happened, but there's a kind of indulgence that is uniquely interesting to a middle-aged man, which is making something bigger than himself that will exist after he is gone. That everybody has that to an extent, but that is a special affliction of middle-aged men. And that's why, so you're able to get so many people to donate to things where they get a building named after them or a park or, or whatever, a disease, I guess. But like the true kind of foresight in some ways is, and I'm not saying he does or doesn't have this, but just at a high level, like it takes real foresight to go beyond what our needs are right now, what my desires are right now, to think about, on the one hand, what will this space need to accommodate, afford, and encourage when our company is completely different and is run by people who are not me and are really different from me? Maybe there's no way to do that, but when you take on a building of this kind of stature, I mean, it's going to have an editorial feeling to it. Obviously, it's going to bear the marks of... I mean, there's so much hagiography.
As it should.
I guess, yeah. But I mean, like, the whole, like, oh, this is the last thing he worked on with Steve and Steve's dream and Stevie McSteve. I mean, Apple's never really going to get to move. I can't believe I'm saying these words. I'm sorry, everybody. Apple's never going to really get to be whatever it's going to be next until that stops being something that happens as often as it does. Evoking Steve is at some point, if it isn't already going to be, in different ways, in different levels, different places, different products, is going to become more and more of a hindrance because they need to be a different company. I mean, there's a reason they fired Steve, like he didn't know how to make big company go. And like, that was, I mean, and then he came back and it was the right conditions and that worked out fine. And thank God for all the nice things he made, yada, yada, yada. But like, that's the really amazing thing. And that's what sets some people apart, is that ability to think about something that's for somebody who's not them. On the face of this feels a lot like something that's for Johnny, and I guess it's probably for a lot of the kind of design folks that share his aesthetic. But, it's the devil's in the details. And, I'm not criticizing, but I'm trying to think about, when I think about successful offices, office spaces, office cultures, I'm trying to think beyond the physical desks and layout and stuff like that. I'm thinking about like of different ones I've had that worked well for certain reasons. I was not an intern. I forget what they call what I did, but I was basically the lowest person on the ladder at a newspaper one summer. So I did a lot of like funeral notices, movie times. I did scut work. I did the clip files, all that kind of stuff, like not copy editor. What do they call that? But anyway, I was like, I was low boy.
Did you ever have to put a divorce notice in a paper, like when someone can't find their spouse and they want a divorce, and the only way to do that is that's a fun fact I learned the other day. Anyway, sorry.
That's super interesting. Yeah, no, I was more of the stuff that required. It's so funny to think about today, but in 1989, I had to call every local theater on Fridays and listen to their message and write down what all the movie times were, and that became the movie times. And I would do some funeral notice things, etc. But anyway, that one, boy, what an interesting time that was, because they still had this bespoke journalism computer system. I think it was called the Coyote, but basically there was this crazy, like, you know, I don't even know if it was based on like regular PC software, but the system that they had was like along the lines of the Bloomberg terminal, and like you took pride in how horrible this thing was to use and the fact that you knew how to use it. But that was an entirely open environment, and it worked great. And everybody there was mostly doing similar kinds of things, which is like smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and tracking down information on the phone all day. It was just phone calls. But there was a pretty rich culture there of how that worked. And there was a very rich culture and understanding about how you marked on the board where you were when you went out. Because again, you had a pager, but you didn't have a phone. All that kind of stuff. And in that environment, like what worked well for that newspaper, that Sarasota newspaper or Bradenton newspaper in 1989, probably would not be that conducive for people who are doing a tech job or movie editing today. But, I'm trying to look beyond the physical structure. I mean, my favorite office I had was that job in the 90s where I had my own office. And that was great. I don't know if that was the best for everybody. I mean, everybody liked the fact that pretty much everybody had their own office. You got a bigger or smaller office, depending on whether you're a big shot. But except for the admins, everybody had a couple people that had to share a room, but everybody had their own space. There was a pretty mostly mature culture of how you interact with people, what shutting the door means, when it's okay to have the door shut for a long time. Those things all develop their own level. But I don't know. But finally, I guess I think about the .com job that I had, where we were everybody. So basically, we had a company that was a spin-off of a real estate publication. And we were the online component of that was doing its own play. And so basically, everybody was in Menlo Park in an old dentist's office. And like cheek to jowl, it was our little web team. It was the marketing douche. There was the business development people. There were eventually the ad sales people. And then there were them like hardcore like relationships with realtor people. And it was very interesting and somewhat fraught for all of those people to be in the same room, because the marketing douche was really loud and talked all day long about parties that he'd been to. The ad people were like on the phone all day. Business development people were out of the office a lot. And, we were just kind of permanently there, like, typing things and having meetings and making whiteboard things. But so it wasn't really ideal, but, everybody kind of put up with it because that's what the situation was. I don't know. I don't have anything very smart to say about this. I don't know if I'd want to work at this place. It seems like it'd be a great place to visit, but like, I'm not sure if I'd want to. It feels like a place that's too big for the human soul.
Interesting. Huh. The thing. Also,
would you want to work there? Would you want to work there?
Oh, I mean, well, no, and only that I never want to leave this office ever, and I live here, and it's great. But it seems like Apple. This is boring, but it's always been segmented by the teams, and there's some great episodes of Debug that talk about like a lot of frustrations within Apple is also like the secrecy within the companies and like teams not communicating with one another. It's not just like, the whole Pixar cliche of like collaborate when you go across to the bathroom with your tiny urinals.
But like it's almost like a Soviet state thing where like you want to ensure that the absolute minimum amount of information possible, so you could never even be perceived as somebody who's leaked, stuff like that, right? I mean, isn't that a thing?
I think, well, yeah, it's the like mid-level managers. I think that like it's I don't know. I never worked at a giant company. I don't have any sort of, I just don't have a concept of that. And I just see, like, this doesn't look like a place where individual teams can collaborate in a successful way. But at the same time, our office is, while there are like Cards Against Humanity employees, we're like dispersed all across the office and like intermixed with, folks that are like office mates, but they are freelancers and designers and other sorts of artists and stuff like that. And there's times where we're like move desks because the the dev team has to be together to work on a big project. And like, again, it's very modular and stuff like that. But this thing is like literally set in stone in some places. Like here's this personal rock climbing wall, which like, yeah, this looks cool as heck. But I haven't been in a lot of, never seen cubicles. I don't even know. Like, can you still put like little tacks in the walls? Is that a thing? I don't know.
I imagine in some places there's a fairly well enforced, even if it's Pixar, where you can make it into a tiki hut or whatever. Like, there's still a pretty good sense of like what's allowable. And like, in most places, I think they don't want it to look too messy. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have a messy desk or messy walls. I mean, I think that's like a pretty normal thing.
We try to do that about once a year, and then we sort of dissolve into or like some sort of organized chaos, which is just how a lot of creative folks work.
Well, I'm trying to think about. I'm pulling this out of my ass, but I'm thinking about this continuum that we may or may not share or agree on. But you've got a continuum of over here on this one side, you've got a bus seat. And over here on this other side, you got not only your bedroom and your bed, but your side of the bed and your pillow, right? So like you have every
Daddy's
reason,
chair.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. That's my part of the couch. But like over here in your bedroom, like you have every reason to feel that is your sacrosanct area, and like things you put there should be left a certain way. Nobody else like just takes your pillow and doesn't bring it back unless you have a child. But on the other end, you've got a bus seat. Where like it is funny how protective people can get about their seat on public transit, or like it's like nobody else has ever been in this seat except for me. But like that seat is there to accommodate. It's not there to accommodate you. It's there to accommodate a mass of people over 40 years, and like there will be many, many different people in that seat, and like you need to regulate your expectations and behavior in a way that comports with how much that seat is not really yours. Not everybody does this, of course, but like I try to think. Don't mean to make this about me, but like, I try to pull my weight on the train. Like I try to like take off my backpack and I move out of the way and I don't take two seats and all that kind of stuff. And because, I think that's part of the social contract. And then at the other end, maybe I might be picky if somebody steals my pillow. The interesting thing in between is that you want to give people enough of a sense of ownership of the office and their space that they feel comfortable, that they feel, I don't even know what words to use. I hate to say the word creative, but they feel like it's enough theirs that they know they belong there. They don't feel like an outcast there. They don't feel like they're sitting in the lobby, right? But on the other hand, you don't want it to become so familiar that it becomes like their bedroom and they're miffed if somebody wants to come into their office for some reason. And I think that's a very difficult balance to strike because, while we may not have private offices anymore with a door, a lot of that role in some ways has been taken over by headphones and similar, where like in some office cultures, like headphones is telegraphing something very specific. Like if I'm not the kind of person that always has headphones on, these headphones should let you know that like I'm doing a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just think that then that becomes interesting. It's one thing to say, okay, this is a startup with a bunch of like 6 stinky boys around a table in Silicon Valley, but like then there's different kinds of people and you bring in this diversity and like how do you make people feel welcome so that they're not sitting in the lobby, but how do you not make it so they can just go be a developer who disappears in a room as, what is it Joel Spolsky says, beware of a man in a room. Like somebody who just goes black and you just don't hear from anymore. It's such an interesting balance to strike as your team grows, as the culture stretches, bends, and maybe breaks. And like what you as a manager, or better put, leader, decide to do to like bend the room and massage the culture to accommodate the people who are there now rather than the people who used to be there. That seems ridiculously challenging to me.
Which is why again I'm gonna say nice things about Max again, which is part of like wanting to make people feel welcome in the office, and that it's that it is home. Like nobody can. I am one of the people that definitely. You might find this shocking, Merlin, but I spent a lot of time at this office.
Is that right?
and I do get that way about at first I thought that it was me being anal, like don't touch the buttons in my studio, don't leave this. But then it became clear, like, okay, guys, if we don't clean up this space, the next people who use it, there are varying levels of skill set. Like, please reset the board. Don't fuck this up. Like when I call Merlin, I want to be able to hear him instantly. I don't want to see what weird shit you did. And again, that is largely like I'm technically the manager of this office, so it is on me to make sure that
the studio.
Not the office, my personal office where I go and disappear and surrounded by microphones. But like largely making sure that people feel welcome, but also understand that it's a shared space and yada yada yada.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I wonder sometimes if this is one of those unintentional schisms or unconscious schisms that we're not aware of, which is that, like, I don't know how quite to put this, but like, just because you're more comfortable making racist remarks does not make that more comfortable for other people. That there's a certain, I know that sounds obvious, but I mean, in this sense of like, nobody here is your servant and nobody here is your master. It's much more harrowing than that. You have a role as a team player in this office, and it's important, like I would want to say something along the lines of, or show something along the lines of, it's important that we expect that from you and that you expect that from others, and that not need to be a hostile thing, which is a lot harder than it sounds, right? So, I think it can be uniquely difficult to try and produce an area where there's professional behavior and collegiality without it feeling like some kind of, drudgery for people. I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm glad to have my own little room.
That's what I'm curious about, because there are times where I will shut myself off in a cubby and be like, hey, listen, guys, I have this big editing thing. Like I need to just be in here for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need it. But then it ends up that I leave this windowless room and then I'm like, oh, it's dark outside. And that would be pretty unhealthy. I feel like if I did that every day. Do you have window? I don't want to compromise your OPSEC, but
no, not really. But I mean, you're also, I'm happy to talk about the office. It's actually not that interesting. It's just a bunch of junk and I record. But like but there's one part of this also that we're kind of, I don't say we're avoiding or skipping, but why do we have an office? Why don't we all just work wherever remotely? Let's say you give somebody a budget. You give somebody a budget of $300 a month to do with whatever you want. Looks like your seats are like $250 a month to get a desk there. But like, okay, well, we don't want to do that. Well, why don't we do that? Because we need face-to-face. Because why else? Because this, because this, because this. It's interesting to me, though, that today I feel like, aside from corporations and very large teams, we are more and more getting to a point where you have to ask the question, not just do we need an office, but if we do have an office and we want to eat the expense of, I mean, it's very costly to put an office together and keep it running. A lot more costly, I think, than most people really realize, especially if you're anywhere near a city. I feel like today we're reaching a point where that becomes a very conscious cultural choice about what will it mean if we have an office, and like how will we possibly earn back as a startup, for example. I mean, you take like 1Password. Everybody works on 1Password until fairly recently was in their house, and mostly contractors. Mm-hmm. Like there are a lot of companies out there that look like big companies that are very loosely organized and staffed. So, you know what I'm saying though? Like to me now, it's interesting to think, rather than saying like, okay, we're a dingle and dingle and we're going to hang out our shingle as, well, that's funny. We're dingle and dingle, going to hang out our shingle and biggity bingle in our little office place. And so you say, well, the first thing you do is you sign your little agreement and then you go find an office and then you're going to staff it, right? And that's the kind of classic old, maybe pre-classical, like old school idea about how you build an office. Nobody does that nowadays for most businesses. I mean, there are certain known kinds of businesses like a shoe store or a restaurant that operate that way, I guess. But like, I feel like today we're reaching a point where you have to ask yourself, it's really got to be worth it for us to make this building. And then it's going to have to really earn back, over a certain amount of time. So you kind of can't help but put strictures on what needs to happen in that office, because most people don't have the dough to just throw around and say, oh, what the heck? Let's go get a 3-year lease on this giant building. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a more mindful, deliberative decision than it was 20 years ago, I'm guessing.
I thought something was really interesting. Our buddies Stephen Hackett and Mike Hurley, who are the co-founders of Relay FM, they obviously work remotely and like in their own offices, but they set a time together each year to spend like 2 weeks together just talking about.
Did you listen to the latest
company.
Cortex?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. They spent a week. They spent a week in the same house, pretty much.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
We kind of do something similar. Like a lot of times we'll do sort of like office or like team retreats or whatever. And I don't know. It feels so like snooty and hipstery, but like that just like change in location. I don't know why it helps. I don't know why it's something that like makes us more productive or makes us be more creative. But even like, again, the office like was designed for small spaces. One day we had our events team had a retreat literally just in one of the small conference rooms that has a bunch of comfy chairs. And it was one of the most productive days we ever had. We just like,
is that right?
Yeah, we just locked ourselves in, and it was. There's just something about that, and something about the freedom of like. Max and I talk a lot about the magic circle in terms of gaming. Like once you're in a game, you accept that this is the universe and these are the rules of this. And it's
once you're bought in, like you're in this little universe.
Yeah, and I think that might be part of it, I guess. And I can only imagine that that's what happens at large companies doing incredibly creative things that are, working on the Ferrari iPhone is like, okay, none of our families don't exist. Our other coworkers don't exist. This is our lives right now. Except, it's for them 24/7 and not, 7 days. And I don't know. I'm also really interested in the folks who are freelancers and who do work remotely, who rent out office spaces. Like, I understand it in the sense of like, okay, it's tough to work at home if you have kids and stuff like that. But a ton of people I know don't. Well, you do this, and but I understand because it's you have like unique recording needs and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to do it, but one downside of this, I went through this. So basically, after that, the .com went under and got acquired. I was very fortunate to get this is a totally inappropriate title I had not earned, but I became the creative director of that real estate magazine, which is to say that I worked on the website for that. I built up these products. Blah, 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 blah. I was kind of a jack of all trades, more like jack off all trades, and I did. It was a little bit of product management, project management, that kind of stuff. But I work from home in San Francisco. And in some ways, it was fantastic because, like, when I had to go and learn Cold Fusion and go build this mini site, it was fantastic to just be able to get this shitty PC and be able to work on it all by myself and just check in with my boss back in Florida and ask questions. That was all really great. But, like, at least all the jobs I've had like that, I also, even like just being out for the day, I felt really out of the loop. If there is a locus of culture and decision making happening anywhere, like if you're at the remote office, it is just not as fun. People just forget to, it's like some of the arguments we have about this show. It's just because you guys talk to each other all the time. And I'm like, hey, yeah, what about me? Like, I don't really need to know all those things, but you would never think to tell me that because you're used to just being in a room with each other. Do you know what I mean? There's all kinds of little bits, back to that office though, there's all kinds of little bits of culture you just utterly miss out on. You miss out on like what the mood in the room is today. And there's certain kinds of things that everybody can pick up when they're in the building that they would not think to communicate to anybody else. And also you're on a fucking conference call where you can barely hear anything that's happening. I don't know. I always felt that was the one part of the job I found very isolating being remote, was to not be in the room where it happens.
Do you feel isolated now because of all of your work is with other folks all across the country?
No, I don't feel isolated at all. I mean, it's much more isolating to be a parent with time constraints in that I don't get to have the social life. I could have the social life that I'd like to have, but it would be difficult and onerous, and maybe I'll get to it someday, but I have plenty of interaction. I kind of interact for my job. So, I mean, I get to like pal around with people and that's all okay. I don't find it isolating at all. I mean, because it's never more than a few hours until I'm back hanging out with my family or what have you. But I'm an old guy. It's different for me. I'm not like a single young person in a big city. I'm a very happily married family old man in a small part of a big city. But
I can't wait to be an old lesbian. Oh, man.
Oh, you're going to be so good at it. Oh, your cats.
I do. I think that's finally something I'll be good at. It's very exciting. I'm just going to shuffle my papers and talk to them and be like, did you know?
Senator John McCain, recovering from brain cancer surgery. The ship named after him. Many casualties.
I just can't believe he looked at the eclipse. How? Who?
He didn't look at it for very long. It's
I
mostly
don't
a
care.
funny
I
bit.
don't care. I saw the pictures with him in the glasses with his jaw out, like, Baron, look at it.
Thumbs up. I like Baron.
Right.
Our household has agreed by mutual assent that Baron seems like a really cool little kid.
I can't imagine what his life is like, and I really
Can you imagine how kind of sad?
Oh, God,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't mean to project, but God, all those times his dad could have come and just hung out. He just went and fucking played golf. It's just I don't mean to criticize. I'm not trying to be like a dumb parent guy here, but doesn't he miss his son? I get that he probably doesn't miss his wife because she's not as hot as she was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't he miss his kid? It would be killing me all day long to not. I don't know. It just seems so strange to me.
I mean, well, you're not a sociopath, so
He seems like a nice little kid. He's 11. Leave him alone. People suck.
Leave Baron alone.
Was that you crying under a sheet?